This week's question has sparked so many great conversations for me personally, and I'm hoping it'll do the same for you, especially because the answers you get aren't always what you'd expect. Let's continue to build this community. Comment down below your response and tell me about your experiences asking this question to your loved ones. Let's chat about it. I'll answer at the end of the video. What moment in your life has most shaped the person you are today?
In year 5, when Miss Martinelli decided that I wasn't just a disruptive child, but I was a bored child that needed a little bit more encouragement and attention. She changed me from thinking that I was, as I'd been told by all the other teachers, a nuisance, to realising that I needed more of a challenge.
Probably the work my Aboriginal friends and colleagues put into preserving, remembering and revitalising their culture, which made me realise that it should be work for all of us.
I auditioned for a school musical. I just wanted attention, to be honest. I just thought it would be funny, but everyone else who was auditioning was very serious about it, whereas because I was having fun with it, I was the most entertaining, ended up getting the role, and that kept me on the path where I am today.
I was racially abused when I was younger. That changed a lot. He pretty much called me a terrorist and said that he'd bash the F out of me. There was no punishment, nothing was done, so.
Parents divorced. I was 11 in the middle of puberty and then going through a divorce in a brown family. It broke me and then I chose it to make me.
Coming out and sharing my NF story, finally opening up to the world and not being ashamed anymore.
The burning of the Jaffna Library in 1980 hurt a lot. The reason for my love of books, even though it stems from my grand aunt and her friends, the burning of the library made me feel that I should preserve as much as possible when it comes to books.
The birth of my brother and how my family had to deal with his disability and reshape our mindset shaped how we operate life.
The losses that I have experienced in my personal life, especially it's related to love.
Getting laid off from my job. I would have just stayed in my corporate job forever. Falling into content, which is what I'm doing full time now, was the biggest blessing in disguise. Everything that I'm doing right now, even just being here, wouldn't have been the case. I would still be working at that job. I hated that job.
When my grandpa was ill, I was sent as the eldest grandson to go help him out in India. My Apapa shared stories about his past, his youth days, his first love, what he expects of me for the rest of the family. That definitely had a massive paradigm shift. So every time I feel I'm down on my luck, I always focus on some of the last few moments that I shared with my Apapa.
It was the 83 riots. Then coming to Australia and divorcing my husband, being a single parent, determined to stand on my own feet. I had no paper qualifications. I wasn't a professional in any format. The only tool I had was my dancing. So I started off by teaching. I had to earn a living. They came to me because their parents wanted them to have a linking to their culture. I think that's my greatest pride and joy. To see this far away from its original roots. I have given what is most precious to me and trained 3 generations of dancers. That you've planted these seeds that have grown and have given back, not just to society, but to the art form and to themselves. Art is not just something you practice and perform. In its most infinite form, it is a part of your soul. It's a part of your own breath. And if you imbibe that breath, that gives you the strength to take on what everything life throws at you.
Seeing my parents and the sacrifices they've made, it's taught me to value a lot of the things that I have, because my parents and my ancestors wouldn't have had any opportunity even close.
Hearing stories of my parents' first years after they had moved, the kind of odd jobs or things that they had to do just to get some kind of grasp in a new country, even though they were really well educated and things, made me realize how much we have taken for granted and that we should really be thankful for where we are, but also use that well.
Probably the first time I did stand-up. That kind of set the seed that germinated in me. A couple of years later, leaving my lucrative engineering job and never making that kind of money ever again.
When I got married, it was same-sex marriage. It helped me accept myself for who I am. Also gave me the strength to stand up for myself and not worry about what society thinks, what society wants of you.
In year 6, I was too afraid to make a speech to be house captain. And then in year 7, our house captain was a brown woman. Just the idea of if they can do it, I can do it too.
Probably my back injury. When I was 21, I was bedridden for 3 years, and then for 10 years I couldn't work, couldn't sit, couldn't do anything. I stayed pretty positive throughout it, and now I always look back at that thinking, if I could get through that, nothing can get in my way now.
Shakti Dharan's play Counting and Cracking, everything just came together. All of my unreconciled thoughts about being a Sri Lankan Australian, embracing my South Asian culture, and also embracing being an Australian.
Every single time my dad said to me, just do your best and leave the rest to God. Appa is a strong believer in the Gita and its wisdom. In one line, you sort of capture capture many of the things that the Gita is trying to tell us. When I'm feeling anxious, I remind myself that actually all that I can do is the best that I can do, and the rest of it is out of my control.
Probably the birth of my first daughter. It changes everything about the way you want to conduct yourself and the life you want to lead, the habits you have, the discipline you need to adopt.
My dad passing away shaped me a lot.
The death of my father. I was so influenced by him. I lived wanting to do things that reflected what I admired about him. When he died, I really had to ask questions about what I understood about my existence, what life actually meant. It was the first time the loss of someone had impacted me so greatly that I felt like I didn't know who I was or what I was meant to do.
I went to a film. I was 17 years old. It was Pupi Avati's graduation party. For me, that moment was a realization that cinematic technology allows us the possibility to present many different facets of the world. At that moment, I fell in love with the film camera, and I knew I'm going to be pursuing projects that involve the cinematic medium in some form or other.
It's a car accident that caused a spinal cord injury and paralysis.
The moment that I realized I can just be myself and that's enough.
Growing up in Chennai has shaped me to be very culturally oriented and spiritual.
Taking the leap to do what I genuinely wanted, which was a media arts degree, helped me become more confident making my own choices for myself.
When I actually realized what being mixed race actually was, you kind of subvert all of those norms because you are a bit of everything whilst not being completely anything. And that identity struggle when I articulated those words and that understanding when I was a teenager was really insightful about my position in the world and how I was navigating, because I sometimes undermine the idea of race by being all of them at once.
A couple of years ago, when I completely lost my sense of self and who I was, trying to find myself again and heal those parts of me that needed healing, that's shaped who I am today.
I left home when I was 14. Leaving home at such a young age, going through the things that I've gone through has made me the person I am.
That's when my journey of weight loss started. You realize how much time, effort and energy it takes, and also mental capacity to lose 41 kilos. It can actually destroy you. It's not about the fact that you've lost weight. It's the fact that you've done something that's so much more harder than what you thought is, and that you are able to do it. Respect from that.
Learning my culture through dance probably shaped me the most.
My dance Arangeshram, I think that was really the turning point for me becoming who I am today and me figuring out who I want to be. Being mentored by my guru, she didn't just mentor me with my dancing, but also with my life.
Getting into Kalakshetra, I can't imagine my life not going to that institution. I was 18, fresh out of high school in Perth. I moved over to pursue Bharatanatyam as a student. I had no idea what I was getting into, but it made me the person I am.
My breakup 2 years ago.
Heartbreaks. You learn so much.
Like every battle soldier's breakup. No, I'm joking. It's just loneliness, moving away from a different city all by yourself without knowing anyone. Test your patience, test yourself as a person, makes you understand who you are.
Travel. I don't think there's any better educator. It shakes you up and prepares you for anything that could be thrown your way later on in life.
I went to Peradeniya University with my school on tour. After seeing the university, the building and all, I wanted to enter the university. Because I studied there, now I am a person like this.
I thought நீங்க border பத்தி கதைப்பீங்க.
சொல்லடா வாளிச்சு போட்டா.
The civil war in Sri Lanka, before we came to Australia, it was a 15-month period where I didn't actually go to school. What I am today, a lot of it is actually based on that period.
Dating the person that I am now. You've shown me an insane amount of love that I don't think I ever got from anyone.
I think meeting my husband, he's the biggest cheerleader for me, and he gives me a lot of confidence and encourages me to have confidence in myself.
My marriage. I've learned so much about emotional labor, gentleness, seeing things from very different perspectives and sensitivity.
My husband, he showed me all these things that I could possibly do, and it was not even in my vision.
I believe in meeting your better half because I definitely did, and that pivoted my whole life.
COVID, believe it or not, different perspective of life, what's important. I started looking inwards compared to outwards, and that's where I found a lot of beauty with life.
When I was in university, it was always quantity over quality. It was always about having the most friends you could have. It took me a while to find a good group of friends that I think are solid and right for me. And I realized that quality was more important than quantity. The friends who check in on your mental health, friends that you can talk about deeper things, you know, want to know what your aspirations are in life and encourage you to do that. And it's just a very good give or take.
I was just partying heaps, drinking, clubbing, eating oily fried, spicy foods, months and months of build up. I got chronic acid reflux laryngitis and I lost my voice for 2 months. That taught me just how to be a responsible adult and really take care of my health, because that's the most important thing.
Sharing poetry for the first time, I was like, I just want to do it once to prove to myself that I can. I remember being so scared, and then after I came back down, I was like, oh, I want to do that again. Being able to share my poetry has opened up such a wealth of opportunities and allowed a lot of richness connecting through words.
When I decided to start my first blog because I didn't want to be an accountant anymore, and I was able to prove to myself, to everyone around me, that a career doing what I love is feasible, and never looked back.
I went to an open mic. I even tried to bribe the guard, which was not necessary. It was a free open mic. And I performed in front of people I'd never met. I caught the bug. I was like, I need to do more of this. This is such a big part of who I am. I can't let this slip away.
I was kind of going off track. My dad said, you have a choice. You can either go this way or go that way. You get one chance. That was a life-changing moment.
I was put in a very stressful situation that had induced a panic within me. That, funnily enough, was one of the greatest blessings. It really expedited my journey, body, mind, and spirit.
Moving out, that was a huge life change for me and opened me up to discovering new parts of my personality, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to explore, who I wanted to be, how I wanted to act, even small things like what I wanted to consume day to day.
Moving for uni and being surrounded by no one I knew. That's what actually made me accept my own identity and being proud. That was the moment that I went, I'm not going to change that.
Moving to Sydney. It taught me to think as an individual, away from the group think. I started to actually learn more about what I believe is right and wrong, not is right and wrong within the construct of my family home.
Having to forge a new life, leaving behind the comfort of a hometown with which I was very familiar, set me on a very new chapter that has sparked beautiful experiences and growth opportunities for which I'm deeply grateful.
I moved at the age of 18. I was very shy, timid. I just learned to accept myself for who I am, grow confidence because I was here by myself, learning to live on my own. I really started to grow out of my shell as an early adult.
Probably my move to Australia. It allowed me to actually be free from all the baggage that I felt I had back in Toronto where I grew up. I had the freedom to kind of mold who I wanted to be.
Probably getting my dog. My whole life changed. That's why I went vegan. I feel like I've learned more about myself, learned more about who I want to be. It changed the whole course of my life, getting a friend like that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad that you came to do this.
It's a crazy experience. I'm like, I got goosebumps.
I think the most part of all of this is that I've been asking the same questions to like my friends and family.
Yeah.
And because you know them for so long, when you ask a question like, what moment in your life has most shaped the person you are today, you have like a assumption about what that moment is. Or you just expect that it's going to be something heavy or traumatic. It's always like that. I feel like it just, opens up so many great conversations.
100%. It's beautiful.
The moment that has most shaped the person I am today has to be starting a podcast. It has taught me so much about myself, about my place in the world. It has brought so many important people into my life and has given me a deeper connection to my culture, my family history, and the art of storytelling. Let me know in the comments what that moment was for you. I know this is really, really, really annoying to hear all the time, but please do like and subscribe. It helps us out so much. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.